First story. I demanded my entitled son share his birthday present with his bio siblings. He refused, but happily shared it with his half-brother and planned to share it with his friends at school. So I grounded him, took away his presents, and called his stepdad Ozempic. Now he is sulking and left my house, and my current wife and ex blame me. But I did everything for his best interest. So I 45 have 4 boys. My oldest is 20 from my first marriage. Then I have a 15-year-old Jaden, and 2 younger ones who are 11 and 7. The 11 and 7-year-olds are from my second marriage, the same as Jaden. My oldest is off at college, but he visits home when he can. This past weekend was Jaden's 15th birthday. For weeks he kept saying he didn't want anything except money and junk food. Like, that was it. Now I don't love the idea of him drowning in sugar. He's always been a picky eater and has a weird attitude towards food. But he's skinny, does swim team, and generally eats okay when we cook. His mom, my ex-wife, has always been loose about food, and I think he gets that from her. But that's a separate discussion. Anyway, between us, his mom, my wife, my parents, and his friends, he ends up with a ton of snacks. I'm talking 3 family-size bags of M&Ms, Sour Patch Kids, Oreos, Pringles, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, a damn jar of black licorice, his favorite, which smells like cough syrup, and some local brand potato chips he likes, and around $120 in birthday money. Not bad for a 15-year-old. He keeps all this in his room, which he has to himself. That's always been a slight point of tension, because the 11 and 7-year-old have to share. But the age gap kind of justifies it, and Jaden's a high schooler who needs space. Still, we remind him all the time to be mindful of that privilege. So, Sunday rolls around, and my oldest son comes down with his girlfriend to surprise Jaden. He says he wants to take him axe throwing. Jaden was hyped. They were gone for a few hours, came back, hung out in the living room, and all was good. I figured, cool big brother bonding moment, right? Then I saw Jaden handing over half his snacks to my oldest to take back to college. Like, he straight up gave him the jar of licorice, one of the M&M bags, the Oreos, Sour Patch Kids, and a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. All of it was shoved in a bag for him to take back to campus. Now don't get me wrong, I get that Jaden looks up to his older brother, and I'm sure he felt like he was returning the favor for the outing. But I still felt weird watching it go down. Like, you've got 2 younger brothers in the house who you've lived with for years, and they're getting exactly 0 of it. It didn't sit right. Fast forward to Monday morning. Both younger boys ask Jaden if they can take a small bag of M&Ms each to school. They don't ask for anything crazy, just a bit to pack in their lunchboxes. Jaden flat out says, no. No hesitation. Just, I'm giving that to people at school. I say, hold on. You're not giving anything to your own brothers, but you're handing this stuff out to your classmates like you're Willy Wonka. He shrugs and goes, yeah, it's mine. I can do what I want. That pissed me off. Not just the selfishness, but the entitlement. We all worked together to get him those snacks. So I told him, it makes no sense to ask for all this junk food just to give it away at school and not share even a tiny portion with the brothers who live under the same roof. Jaden immediately goes defensive. You're just mad because it's not going the way you want. Mom wouldn't do this. That hit a nerve. Because this has become a pattern with Jaden. Whenever he doesn't get his way, he weaponizes his mom's parenting. And I know for a fact that she lets him get away with far more than she should. She feeds him this narrative that everything I say or do is controlling or mean. Meanwhile, I'm the one making sure he has discipline so he doesn't turn into a brat. So I snapped. I said, oh yeah, why do you think your stepdad is on Ozempic? Petty? Maybe. But it slipped out before I could stop myself. He just stared at me and stomped off to his room. I gave him a few minutes to cool off, but when I went upstairs to check on him, his door was locked. I knocked, told him I wanted to talk, and he yelled, go away, from inside. I wasn't about to stand there begging to be let in by a 15-year-old acting like a brat. I told him I was taking all the snacks until he was ready to have a real conversation, and that he was grounded until further notice. I got the key, opened the door, and grabbed everything. He sat there on his bed with his earbuds in, pretending I wasn't even there. I didn't say anything else. Just packed up the snacks and walked out. I put the stuff in a locked cabinet in the kitchen. I told him later that if he wanted to be treated like someone mature enough to manage his own stuff, he had to act like it. Until then, no snacks, no electronics, no going out. He lost it. Started ranting about how it was his birthday gift, how I was stealing from him, and how his mom would never pull this kind of power trip. At one point, he even called me a control freak. I stayed calm and told him his behavior is what led to this, not the snacks, not the gift, but his attitude and blatant disregard for his younger brothers. I figured that would be the end of it. But then my oldest, who was still in town for the day, came yelling, "What the hell is your problem?" I asked him what he was talking about, and he started going off. "You grounded him? Over snacks? He's 15. Let him have his birthday for once." I told him this wasn't about the snacks. It was about the fact that Jaden refuses to even acknowledge his younger brothers, much less share with them. That we all went out of our way to make his birthday good. And he turns around and acts like the king of the house while giving crumbs to everyone else. My oldest cuts me off. "You're punishing him because he didn't do what you wanted with his own stuff." I said, "Don't start lecturing me when you just watched him give away half his birthday haul to you and didn't say a damn thing about how his brothers got zero." He goes, "Yeah, because I thought that was his choice. And you know what? I don't get in your face about how you run this house, but the way you treat Jaden lately is messed up." That's when it really boiled over. Because the truth is, this isn't the first time I felt like I'm the only one trying to hold this kid accountable. His mom spoils him. My oldest enables him. My wife tries to stay neutral, but she also doesn't want to upset the balance in the house. Meanwhile, I'm left being the bad guy because I have expectations and call out selfish behavior. What's worse is this isn't even the first time Jaden's pulled this stuff. A few months ago, we had a blow-up because he told the 11-year-old he didn't want him touching his PS5 because you don't deserve to play on it. Another time, he hoarded a stash of Halloween candy and told the 7-year-old he could only have some if you do my chores for a week. Each time, I talked to him. Explained fairness. Explained that part of being in a family means thinking about more than just yourself. But he doesn't change. He always deflects to "it's mine," or compares me to his mom and uses that as some kind of pass to act like a jerk. So this time, I put my foot down. No more warnings. No more caving. And yeah, I also told my oldest that maybe next time he should ask before taking Jaden out and hyping him up, knowing damn well it sets up more entitlement at home. He didn't like that. We haven't spoken since. He left early this morning and didn't say bye. Jaden's still sulking. I'm standing firm but starting to wonder. So, Ada. Comments. Comment 1. You gave a kid junk food and birthday money. He chose to give his stuff to his older brother, whom he rarely sees, and who just did something nice for him. You could have just let that be a sweet bonding moment. Instead, you turned it into some twisted power struggle. He said no to the little ones, and suddenly you're snatching his stuff like you bought it for yourself. This is his birthday. His gifts. Not community property. Not your bribe leverage. Once you give it, it's not yours anymore. And that Ozempic comment. Effing gross. What does that even have to do with anything? His stepdad being overweight doesn't justify you acting like a tyrant over cereal and candy. What message does that send? That food is punishment. That if he shares with the wrong people, he's responsible for their health. It's weird and controlling and deeply toxic. Honestly, the only reason your son still talks to you is probably because he's 15 and legally can't move out. Keep acting like this, and don't be surprised if he goes no contact the minute he can. Comment 2. YTAX1000. This whole post reeks of my house, my rules energy without realizing how manipulative and petty you're being. You gave him a bunch of snacks. Then when he doesn't distribute them to your satisfaction, you take them away. He gave some to his older brother because he likes him. You think he owes the half-sibs candy because they share a room? Are you for real? That's your decision, not his. If you want the little ones to have M&Ms, go buy them a damn bag. You're the adult here. And I bet you're not telling us the whole history. That comment he made, "My mom wouldn't do that," sounds like this isn't the first time you've pulled this SHT. He probably remembers every time you forced him to share his stuff, while the younger ones got away with everything. Also, that jab about the stepdad's Ozempic. Disgusting. Mean-spirited, fat-phobic, and absolutely irrelevant. All you did was show your son that when you lose control, you go for personal attacks. Yeah, this isn't about snacks. It's about you being mad he didn't bow down and perform the version of good big brother you invented in your head. Comment 3. Here's the thing. I don't think you're a bad parent in the completely neglectful way. But you are parenting from a place of resentment and ego. It sounds like you don't actually like your son very much. You micromanage what he eats, criticize his gift choices, and twist his generosity into selfishness when it doesn't suit your narrative. Why does it matter who he gives the snacks to? You said he has his own room, which he only has because the younger two share. Did he ask for that arrangement? Or did you make it? And now you're using it like a favor he owes you back. He chose to share with his older brother because he has a relationship there. Maybe he doesn't have the same bond with the little ones. That's not a crime. Forcing him to share doesn't create closeness. It creates resentment. And yeah, the way you insulted his mom and stepdad in one breath. That was uncalled for. You're not creating a respectful home here. You're teaching him that he has no say over his own things, and that he's wrong if he doesn't act the way you want. That's going to backfire fast. Update. I didn't plan to post again. But clearly a lot of people had opinions, most of them wrong, by the way, and things escalated more than expected after I grounded my 15-year-old son, Jaden, for refusing to share any of his birthday snacks with his two younger brothers. First of all, I find it absolutely insane how many people jump to call me abusive or controlling for simply expecting my son to behave like a decent family member. People throw around those words way too easily when they're not the ones footing the bills or raising the kid day to day. Let me clarify a few things people clearly missed or twisted. Yes, I contributed to his birthday gifts. I didn't just buy one bag of chips. I organized, coordinated, and paid for most of it. So don't come at me like I'm trying to control his property. He didn't buy those gifts himself. He made a wish list. We made it happen. That doesn't mean I think I own him or view him as a thing, which is just ridiculous. It means I have a right as his parent and provider to step in when he's being selfish and toxic towards his own family. Anyway, after I locked up the snacks, all hell broke loose. Apparently, Jaden called his mom and told her I took away his birthday and screamed at him for not handing over candy. She flipped out on the phone, accused me of being a dictator, said I had issues with power, and even told me I needed therapy. This is the same woman who lets him eat pizza 4 nights a week and thinks discipline is emotional abuse, so her opinion doesn't carry much weight. But I listened politely, then hung up. It didn't end there. My oldest son apparently felt the need to take sides too. He texted me later that night with this long, dramatic message saying he's tired of watching me push people away and that Jaden deserves to feel like a person, not a project. Then he blocked me, won't return my calls. Radio silence. So I guess now I'm that dad who got ghosted for wanting his kids to act like a damn family. Still not over. Nope. The next day, I find out Jaden gave away the M&Ms and Sour Patch anyway. He used his own birthday cash given to him by his mom and her husband, who apparently think this is hilarious, to buy a new stash. He sneaked it into his backpack and handed it out at school. I only found out because a teacher emailed me, saying she was worried he was trying to buy friendships. Let me say that again. I had to take the blame for the fallout while he's out there handing out candy like Santa in September. And the two younger kids who got completely ignored by their older brother took their brother's side. When I explained what Jaden had done and why I took his snacks away, they both looked confused and said, "But it was his birthday. It's okay." I'm raising a house full of kids who think birthdays mean you get to act like a selfish jerk with no consequences. I told them no, it's not okay. Birthdays don't give you a pass to disrespect the people who love and live with you. I was trying to teach a lesson in basic gratitude and family accountability. You'd think I was the villain in a Disney movie. A few days later, my wife quietly gave Jaden the candy back behind my back. She said she didn't want to fight anymore, and that he'd suffered enough. Suffered. The kid still had a room to himself, a phone, his PlayStation, and apparently an entire Reddit army backing him up. Real tragedy, I know. After I found out, I told her, fine, give it back. Let's see what happens when we try the let them run wild method. What happened? Jaden told me straight up that he doesn't want to stay with us anymore. That he's going to live with his mom full time and will only come over when he feels like it. He didn't say it like a kid having a tantrum. He said it calmly, like he meant it. Like he'd been thinking about it for a while. And honestly, I'm pissed. Not because he's leaving, but because no one in this house has had my back. Not my wife. Not my oldest. Not even the younger two. Everyone just shrugs and acts like I'm the problem because I expect a little structure and respect in return for everything I provide. And for the record, that Ozempic comment people lost their minds over. Was it harsh? Sure. But context matters. It wasn't a fat joke. It was a moment of exasperation. Jaden said his mum wouldn't do this, so I pointed out that his mum's way clearly isn't working great for everyone over there. Sorry if that stings, but sometimes truth does. Maybe don't dish it out if you can't take it. So where are we now? Jaden's barely speaking to me. He's spending most nights at his mum's. My oldest hasn't unblocked me. My wife's walking on eggshells. The younger two think birthdays are sacred altars that make people immune to consequence. And I'm the one being called a monster because I took some candy and tried to enforce a principle. I'm not sorry. Not for grounding him. Not for holding him accountable. Not for expecting a little damn reciprocity in a house where he gets plenty of privileges. I still don't think I was wrong. I just think the people around me are too soft, too emotional, and frankly a little salty, because they've never had to actually be the one who lays down the rules. You can call me controlling, strict, whatever. But I'm a parent, not a buddy. I'm supposed to raise men, not entitled little dictators who crumble if you say no. So yeah, the whole thing backfired. But not because I was wrong. Because too many people in this family think accountability is abuse. And that's why everything falls apart the moment someone hears the word no. Edit for clarity, since a lot of people are confused about the family setup. I've been married 3 times. My first marriage, I have my oldest son 20. My second marriage, I have Jaden 15 and my 2 younger sons 11 and 7. Their mom is my ex-wife. She's the mum I referred to in the post. My current 3rd marriage, I'm now married again. When I say my wife in this post, I'm talking about my current wife, who is stepmom to Jaden and the younger 2. Comments. Comment 1. What the F did I just read? You punished your son for not treating his birthday like a ration line. You hijacked his gifts, turned his siblings against him, insulted his mother and her husband's medical condition, then painted yourself as the misunderstood hero because, checks notes. He gave Sour Patch Kids to the wrong person. This isn't parenting. This is emotional terrorism. Your son is 15, and you are already losing control of the narrative because he's seeing the world outside your delusion. Your college-age son has cut you off. Your wife is probably counting down the days until the younger 2 are old enough to speak for themselves. I bet your ex-wife has documented this SHT in emails already and is quietly preparing for full custody because she knows exactly what you are. A self-righteous tyrant with a victim complex. You're not the leader of your family. You're the dictator. And your family just started the coup. You should be worried. Like court-mandated therapy worried. You don't just lose 2 sons in a week for nothing. When your youngest grows up and stops parroting your lectures, you'll lose him too. You say you're not raising entitled kids. You're right. You're raising survivors who will one day cut you out with surgical precision and never look back. Comment 2. Oh no, the evil 15-year-old used his birthday money to buy candy and gave it to friends. Quick. Someone file a tax return on it before he commits another act of generosity. Seriously, OP, the fact that your son had to repurchase his own gifts and sneak them out of a locked cabinet because you treated Oreos like state secrets tells me everything I need to know. You're paranoid. You're controlling. You're deeply insecure. And you use structure as a shield for abuse. You think you're the only one holding the house together. But the reality is everyone around you is either silent out of fear or leaving the moment they can. Your wife? She's surviving. Your oldest? Gone. You're 15 years old. Counting the days. You're younger too. Probably internalizing that love in your house is conditional and dependent on compliance. Your obsession with authority is going to be your legacy. Your kids will speak of you not with fondness, but with exhaustion. You'll be the dad they talk about in therapy, the example they use to justify not turning out like you. And don't get me started on the Ozempic comment. That was vile. You don't just attack a person's health to prove a point to a teenager. That wasn't about discipline. That was about ego. You didn't get your way, so you hit below the belt. Typical abuser behavior. No wonder they're all running. If anyone in this story deserves to be grounded, it's you. Second story. My stepfather called me a pig and my husband a CNT, and my whole family, while receiving help from my husband, laughed, thinking I wasn't around. I told my husband, and he got my stepfather and family members to lose their jobs and their houses. First, English is not my first language. I am fluent, but I do not completely understand the double meanings and how to imply them here. I tried to translate it as best I could, but the word pig does not mean a literal pig. In the context it was used, I think what my stepdad meant was bourgeoisie or capitalist pig, and used it as a double entendre in reference to body fat. My stepdad has been with my mother for 5 years now. I was an adult before they met. We are not that close, but have a cordial relationship, or so I thought. My husband and I were invited to a small impromptu dinner party. My husband was sick, so I initially made our apologies, but afterwards he encouraged me to go, even though what I truly wanted was to play a nurse for him. These dinner parties happen with regularity, and my husband is far more important anyway. However, he encouraged me and said it would be good for me to go, so I did. I arrive a little late and don't immediately announce my presence. I stand in the entryway arranging myself and overhear the talk from the dinner table. I hear my husband's name mentioned. This was rude, but I am curious what is going to be said while they think I'm not listening, so I take my time next to the door. The question about our absence was casually directed to our mother, and my stepdad cut in with the line in the title. He said, "Exactly. Yes, where is the pig and his dumb little CNT?" There were some chuckles, and my mother answered, "Your son-in-law is sick," in a mildly chastising tone. She turned the topic to something else. I decided to leave. I nearly cried in the back of the car, but stayed composed until I got home. My mother's reaction was most hurtful. I would have expected a far harsher reaction than she gave. This suggests to me that this happens with some regularity. My mother doesn't defend me when I'm called a dumb little CNT. She doesn't defend my husband when he is called a pig. She acts as if someone made an inappropriate noise at the dinner table. Should I tell my husband? I am a little afraid of his subsequent actions if I do. He has helped specific family members that were not at the dinner party and could take that all away on a whim. I need to tell him, but I don't want him to punish people that weren't at the party. My husband will be very angry at them, but I need to tell him. Then there is my relationship with my family. I have been trying to think how this could mean something else. I've been trying to twist it into a term of endearment, and I can't. This was cruel. I feel used by those who I loved most. They hid their feelings while we were around. TLDR. My stepdad called my husband and me by the quoted sentence in the title. I'm trying to decide how to tell my husband. I'm trying to think how this could not be what it looks like. A situation where my family is being unbelievably cruel behind my back. Comments. Comment 1. Tell your husband. He has the right to know. If family members are dependent on him and talking behind his back, he should know about it. He has helped specific family members that were not at the dinner party and could take that all away on a whim. Do you think so little of your husband? That he would punish people in need because they are related to someone who badmouthed him once? What about when you have children and they go visit their grandmother? Will your children learn to call you a dumb CNT behind your back? There's no good reason for that type of name calling, especially when the person isn't around. You don't know two-faced jerks like stepfather in your life. Tell your husband, and then you and your husband can confront your mother. Demand an apology and minimize contact with mom and stepfather for a while. OP. I think the world of my husband, but he is a very fierce man when it comes to people who don't respect him and his me. I know I need to tell him. Comment 2. My man is exactly the same. Protective and unforgiving of people he feels have disrespected me. Himself too, but it's a whole other level when I'm involved. All I can say is you need to let him vent and be angry, and then ask him to have a game plan with you. His loyalty should help you come up with a compromise that you both can live with. Comment 2. My initial reaction was you should have walked in and said, "The dumb little CNT is right here," picked up a drink from the table and thrown it in his face. Seriously, OP, you have to tell your husband. Tell him exactly what you told us. He deserves to know. Let him be part of the decision on how to proceed. Comment 3. Ah yes, the classic soap opera ending. Fantastic choice. Comment 4. He has helped specific family members that were not at the dinner party and could take that all away on a whim. I think this is where the pig thing is coming from. For some people, your success and help just make them feel inferior, and they're resentful of you as being the cause of those feelings, so they cut you down when you aren't around. Instead of taking responsibility for their own life choices or being secure in themselves and happy for you, they'd rather drag you down in some crab bucket mentality. They don't have your best interest at heart. They only want to drag you down to feel better about themselves. It may be the healthiest thing for your relationships, not to help if they aren't the kind of people who can deal with it. They're not happy, and you're just losing respect from people you previously had a better relationship with. Update. I told my husband about this earlier this morning. I did it carefully, making sure to tell him that I didn't know exactly who was there other than a few names, and ensuring that he knew a few specific people were definitely not there. My husband is a very deliberative person. He sat and listened to everything I had to say, without showing any emotion. It's hard to talk to him, sometimes about difficult things because of this, but I got through it. He asked me a few questions, making sure that I was completely sure on every detail. Then he told me to fetch his phone, and I did. He made several calls. He called various people, and over the next 30 minutes, 3 of my family members lost their jobs. 2 lost their apartments, or will be losing them as soon as the law allows. He only punished people who were guaranteed to be at the dinner party, or directly related to those who were, though he did not punish my big sister, who I was worried about the most, or people who couldn't have been involved. Afterwards, he told me that he would not tell me to cut contact with my family, but that he will not be seeing them until we receive a written apology from everyone who was at the party. He said I can handle my family as I like. I thanked him and told him that I would not be seeing them either until that happened. Whilst I was helping my husband dress for work, my mother called. But my husband waved it off and told me to keep her waiting, because she will call again. He said I don't owe her promptness, and keeping her waiting shows her that I have the power. She called many times in succession afterwards, but I only answered after my husband was dressed, and I had seen him to the car. She told me in a frantic voice that person had lost his job and wondered what happened, or if there was anything my husband could do. I'm glad my husband had me wait, because I had a formulated response. I told her that my husband had persons A, B, and C fired. I didn't tell her why. She went silent for a bit and finally asked why in an odd tone. I just told her that I heard what my stepdad said at the party. I told her that my husband and I expect written apologies from everyone at the dinner party. A long silence followed, so long that I nearly hung up. But my mother did it first. This was a confusing reaction. I think she was too ashamed to speak, but it could also be that she doesn't care. I will wait. They need to reach out to us with an apology if they are interested in continuing our family ties. I thought this was going to be harder and feel worse than it does. I am at peace about this. TLDR. My husband took judicious action after I told him. My mother called me, and I asked for apologies from all at the party. She hung up, either too ashamed to speak or signaling that she doesn't care about me. Comments. Comment 1. If you live in China, I can understand the response. People in relatively high positions can make the lives of family miserable if they show disrespect. OP. You are right. I know it is not this way in Western countries. Comment 2. I agree. It is not the same in Western countries, and folks here have to understand that the culture in China is way different. Stuff like this happens in China. Question. Did your husband help your family members in getting jobs and housing? Makes me wonder how he was able to get them all fired and evicted just like that. OP. Yes, he did help them get the jobs and housing. Good jobs and preferred housing, which can be very hard to get. OP replied to a deleted comment. My husband was kind at all times. It may be that they resented him for his help. He asked me what I thought should happen. I told him I was very upset. He makes the decisions after consulting me, but this was disrespectful to him just as much as to me. Thank you for your explanation. I understand why this might be shocking in that case. When I said helped in my first post, I meant jobs and preferred housing. Comment 3. What the hell? Why would your husband get people fired? As far as I read in your last post, they didn't even have anything to do with what your stepdad called you. They were just there. This seems like a huge overreaction on his part, when you guys could have just gone and confronted your stepdad. Not F up people's living situations and their jobs. That's crazy. OP. I think it might be cultural. Often when someone does something poorly, it is part of our culture to judge the family as well. Also, they laughed. Comment 4. I am genuinely curious, and I'm sorry if I come across as naive in this question. But what would the proper etiquette in China be in this situation? For example, what if it was you and your husband at your aunt's house and dinner table? Your aunt's husband makes this rude comment about the person who gave your husband his job, who is your cousin's husband, her daughter's spouse, and not present. Should you say anything? Would you speak up out of loyalty for your employer? Or would you not say anything out of politeness for the host, who is also your family? What is correct in this situation in China? OP. Of course I will answer. And no, you do not come across as naive. I think first, understand that there are no individuals in China. I'm not a single person. I belong to my husband. I belong to my family. Those units are more important than me alone. I think there is no correct response for this. Would there be a correct response for this in a Western country? I think it was incredibly rude, and that crosses cultural barriers. The shock in this thread is that my husband punished everyone. Yes. Here we return to the fact that no one is an individual in China. You see my stepdad as an independent individual who made this decision. My husband and I see him as a part of a larger group. In this case, his family unit, and those others at the dinner party. They all allowed this disrespect to stand by not acting. I think the correct response would have been for everyone at the dinner party to banish my stepdad. They should have collectively shown him that what he did was wrong. Social harmony is very important. I hope this makes sense. Comment 5. I'm from Taiwan, living in America, and I completely understand your husband's response. Trust is difficult to come by in China. And if your husband is in a position of financial power, then he is in a position a lot of people are willing to suck up to just to get something out of him. He is 100% correct to cut his financial and personal connection with people he cannot trust. Most others in this sub will not understand the cultural implications of this. But trust is everything in a workplace situation in Chinese culture because of the possibility of backstabbing and betrayal. You do your thing, OP, and don't let all the naysayers in this post sway you. Update. My husband has received several written apologies from those who were at the party, but not from my stepdad or my mother. I think it is correct to say now that they are not going to apologize. I talked to my mother again a few days after my second comment for a brief moment. She prostrated herself in front of me verbally, but she will not give us a written apology. She is supporting her husband over her daughter. I hung up on her, as her apology was hollow in many ways, despite how deeply she spoke. Those who have apologized have said that these insults were not uncommon, but no one other than my stepdad engaged in them. My husband believes them and blames my stepdad. My stepdad later lost his job as a result of his words. My husband could not punish him immediately because of his position. I am feeling okay. It hurt me after the second conversation with my mother, where I realized she would not apologize. I am trying to make peace with it, but it has been hard. My husband has done things to cheer me up. He bought me a puppy. I need to feel this over a period of time, if that makes sense. TLDR. My mother and stepdad will not apologize. Some others at the party did. My stepdad lost his job. Comments. OP replied to a deleted comment. I agree the letter is a formality, but an important one, I think. My mother's words were hollow, though. I'm not sure I have the words to describe this. She apologized but defended and dismissed at the same time. That is why I hung up. Comment 1. Your mum sounds like you in a lot of ways. Both of you stand behind your husbands, no matter what, and let them make all the decisions. This is between your husband and your stepdad. Your mum won't be able to apologize until your stepdad allows her to. This is one of those times that being old-fashioned and doing what your husband tells you to do is pretty stupid. I mean both you and your mum. Both of you are letting men ruin your mother-daughter relationship. These updates sadden me to see all the unwise decisions and ego continuing on both sides. I hope someday this will change. OP. My husband did not force me to cut ties with my family. I chose not to forgive my mother because her apology was hollow. Her words were empty. Comment 2. I think it's refreshing to see someone posting to this Reddit with such a clear idea of their boundaries and acting on them being violated. We always encourage people to find their boundaries and learn to back them up when they face crises in relationships. And here is an example of a couple who have very clearly defined boundaries and do something about it when they get disrespected. The husband was clearly taking care of a lot of people in this family and would feel deeply hurt and disrespected to learn that those same people were witness to the offensive things said about him behind his back and did not stop it or stand up for him. I 100% agree with his decisive actions, and while I feel sorry for OP's mother, who is trapped between daughter and husband, I think OP's husband still was within his moral rights to act as he saw fit in this case. OP, I wonder if you would act differently than your mother did, though. Would you go against your husband if he ever behaved badly towards someone in the family? Or would you have his back, even when he was wrong? Your mother has apologized to you in the only way she can without making open conflict with her husband. Can you understand her at all? Maybe you can forgive her eventually. Comment 3. Your mother has apologized to you in the only way she can without making open conflict with her husband. Can you understand her at all? Maybe you can forgive her eventually. I think you make a great point not just there, but in the whole post. But that part is framed incorrectly. She isn't making open conflict with her husband. The husband is making open conflict with her. By not standing up to him, she is being an enabler. She is giving him tacit permission to continue. Is it unfair? She's in the middle of this, along with the people who got fired? Yes. In life, when unfair things happen to you through no fault of your own, character shows when you do the right thing. Absolutely no one did the right thing, and she still refuses to throw his mess back in his face. OP's stepdad is the one causing trouble. He is an ingrate piece of SHT. After all the problems he's caused and impossible scenarios he's created, to not back down and give her an out. FM. There are at least 3-4 other people like the mum who also need to save face. He isn't allowing them an out. She isn't choosing conflict. She's choosing to lose the conflict rather than fight for herself. OP's stepdad is a piece of SHT of the highest order. A in Chinese society is about harmony and making decisions that benefit the group so that everyone wins. He is sacrificing the group for his own twisted sense of egotistical honor. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.